27 Christians were slaughtered just 15 miles west of Jos, the capital of Plateau State. And of course, that population included 11 children below the ages of 7, including a 2-month-old. The last time we had an interview regarding that particular incident, I reported that there was a 3-year-old that was killed. But no, that wasn't the youngest of the victims. There was a 3-month-old, there was a 2-month-old, there was an 8-month-old, there was a 1-year-old, there were 2 years old. Actually, the oldest actually of the 11 children that comprised or that made up the 27 death toll, the 27 victims were below the ages of 7. And like you said, the Nigerian government is trying really hard, is struggling, I would say, to deny what has been happening. But what they cannot deny is the reality, the facts, the evidences, right? So you can deny that Christians are not being killed, but locations don't lie. The mass graves don't lie. Christians will not go and gather to bury empty caskets or to just wrap some substance, maybe wood or something, in white fabric just to put on the ground and just claim that is an instance of genocide. You cannot deny that.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition. When the Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. What horrible numbers. Something has to be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and to report back to me. And I mean, like, immediately. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. It's not only Nigeria, it's all over. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. This is not going to happen. The killing of Christians is not going to happen.
You see, Nigeria is burning. Enough is enough, and that is why ordinary Nigerians should support Donald Trump's warning on Christian persecution and wider intervention. Early this November 2025, the US President Donald Trump issued a forceful warning to the Nigerian government that if it did not act decisively to stop the killing of Christians, then the United States will immediately stop all aid and may even intervene militarily. And I quote, "Guns are blazing." Those are his words. He declared that Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria and accused radical Islamists of orchestrating a mass slaughter of Christians. Why the comment stirred controversy? There are good reasons why many Nigerians, especially those tired of persistent terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and communal violence, should view this stance as one that they can support. We must admit that Nigeria's security crisis is overwhelming the state. Our country today is under siege from multiple overlapping security threats. The insurgency by Boko Haram and ISWAP in the northeast has killed thousands and displaced many more. Banditry, header farmer violence, kidnapping and ransom, and attacks on rural Christian farming communities in the Middle Belt have become a routine thing. The federal government, despite its efforts, is widely judged to be struggling with inadequate resources, weak intelligence, and stretched security apparatus. And in many of such attacks, no single arrest is made by the security forces. Listen to this.
Have you made any arrests? But your security people saw the people. You engaged them. You didn't. None of them was wounded. None of them was arrested. Does that speak well of the operation?
Oh, well, I thought this.
But let me promise you, Riom will not come down. Amen. By the grace of God, we will use every means at our disposal to make sure that this genocide comes to an end.
Amen.
I don't know who will tell me that what happened yesterday is farmers' herders clash. This is an act of terrorism. This is pure genocide. And I can assure you that we'll escalate this matter.
Sir, to your notice, I'm not against the commander, but the commander is not consistent in his whole statement. Yesterday he said a different thing, and today he's giving you a different report. What the youth leader said is what he said yesterday, that the Fulani that we are coming here overpower their men and they block their men so they don't have entrance to this community, and that led to this massacre. So I want to tell you again that I said it yesterday to the GOC, and I'm repeating it today in the hearing of the commander, that these men are busy supporting Fulani even in grazing.
Some religious clerics and political elites from the northern part of the country have consistently advised the federal government to negotiate with the terrorist groups for peace to reign. They have insisted that the gangs are too sophisticated for the government to overcome. Given that reality, an external actor signaling readiness to assist or even apply leverage that may offer a natural ally to Nigerians who have long suffered from violence and impunity. Should we not, as concerned citizens, welcome this offer from the US president to intervene in the situation? Should we not? Religious minority communities are under real threat, although there is debate about the exact numbers and motivations. The perception among many Christians in Nigerians is that they are being targeted or at least disadvantaged in the broader security vacuum. Listen to this.
If my government is denying genocide, what will they say about this? United Nations, European Union, take note. This is the genocide of people that were killed on the fateful day of 7 March 2010, massacred at Dogona Hawa Plateau State. Names of big victims that were killed. Machineries were brought from Niger Republic. They were brought from Chad. They were brought from Burkina Faso, Senegal. They were hired into the nation. They mix up with those from Maiduguri. That's a Muslim state. Also from Gombe, Muslim state. In fact, they trooped into this place, Bauchi. This is the route that they took. By about midnight, they invaded this village. We are living peacefully in this Dogona Hawa. These are the victims of massacre. Davo Bitrus, Chuan Bitrus, John Nash Ren, Ngoisa Daljuma, all they are under the grave. Karos Nash Lydia E. Danchuma. See the name. 100 is moving to 66. Ended by Israel Simon, Lydia Bulus Juan, Da Labi Dung. And look at this place too. Da Dung, Da Gong Dung, Justina Gang, Sani Pam, Victor Pam. To summarize, to go down to 126. Round up with Ungoti Tigwam. We move also to 127. Dan Juma Gob, Victoria Zang, Test Crooks. You have been looking for facts. Look at facts. To prove Nigeria government are biggest liar. If they taught them, they would say Muslims are also killed. By who? By Muslim terrorists. After they have eliminated Christian from Katsina, from Zamfara, from Borno, what next? Then the Christian that escaped from the far north, Sokoto, they were able to locate and come back to Plateau State. Because, and they moved down to the south. They escaped their life. Now, the rural villages of Sokoto, Muslim state, Katsina, Muslim state, if you find a Christian, is in the town, the city, headquarters of the state. That's where there's security. But in the villages, Boko Haram have taken over the villages. Once you're a Christian, you can only be a Christian by serving them as slaves in the local government. Look at what has happened to 189. Look at this monument. It's a memory for what is happening. Chuan S. Dung Gang boat moving down to 252 people. Joseph Johanna. Now let's go back to see the other side of the mummy. It continues from 250. Zongduzi, Chuangji, Jik, Da Jiang Pam Tang, Kumbo Jiang Tang. It moved down to 315. That is Nerat Jong. We move again to 316. Peace John, Ezekiel Pam. It moved down again to 378. That's Paula Joseph Nyam.
Sure.
It shift again from the top. Da Dungyang, Wen Davo. It moved down to 401 and 41. Da Gom Elia was among them this. Mandung Christopher, that's 402. Garba Danjuma, it moved down to round up to 501. Apart from this,
to quote a Nigerian legal practitioner, Christian communities are no longer merely under threat, but they are facing existential assaults that bear the mistakable hallmarks of systematic elimination. Whether or not the term genocide is strictly accurate, although many analysts caution it may not be, it is undeniable that large numbers of Christians have been killed, displaced, or traumatized. When Trump calls for intervention on their behalf, ordinary Nigerians who belong to or sympathize with those communities may feel a moral and practical appeal. This is one international actor putting its weight behind them when their own government appears unable. This is not just about Christians, it's about national survival. While Trump's rhetoric specifically emphasizes Christians, the broader security crises like terrorism, kidnapping, and banditry affect all Nigerians, both Muslims, Christians, and traditional faith adherents alike. By supporting the idea of external pressure or assistance, which should be on the terms of Nigerian sovereignty, Nigerians are not favoring one faith group over another. They are favoring peace, stability, and order. We must realize that if violence continues unchecked, it impairs farming, market, investment, schooling, and healthcare across board. Therefore, supporting the U.S. insistence on accountability and action becomes a national interest, not simply a sectarian one. The Nigerian government has signaled its willingness to cooperate, despite the initial strong reactions from Abuja rejecting Trump's description of the events happening in the country. The Nigerian government has also indicated a readiness to accept U.S. assistance, provided Nigerian sovereignty is respected. For example, the Foreign Affairs Ministry publicly declared that the federal government of Nigeria will continue to defend all citizens, irrespective of race, creed, or religion. The Nigerian government issued statements that it welcomes U.S. help in the counter-terror fight. Therefore, ordinary Nigerians who back enhanced collaboration with the U.S. are not urging or arguing for foreign domination. They are arguing for partnership and capacity building in the face of a severe threat. If Nigerians are desirous of solution to insecurity, then the pushback from People's Republic of China needs scrutiny. Why are they crying more than the bereaved? While China has declared support for Nigeria's fight against terrorism, it has also strongly signaled opposition to any foreign military intervention or use of religious freedom citing as a pretext. China's ambassador to Nigeria stated, "We oppose any country's interference in other countries' internal affairs under the pretext of religion and human rights." Those are his words. Nigeria-China cooperation remains deeply rooted in infrastructure, trade, and resource deals, from railways to ports to extractive industry arrangement. Analysts have pointed out that China's interest in Nigeria is less about humanitarian support and more about access to resources, markets, and strategic alignment. That is where their interest lies. Why that should matter to Nigerians? China's stance emphasizes non-interference and may reduce international pressure on Nigeria to reform or act decisively against actors violating human rights. When China emphasizes sovereignty above intervention, it can act as a counterweight to those calling for robust action, thereby reducing the leverage you and fellow citizens have. The infrastructure and debt deals China engages in often come with long-term obligations and may limit Nigerians' freedom to act independently in defense, security, or economic policy. Therefore, while China's cooperation is not to be dismissed, ordinary Nigerians should be skeptical of a one-sided view in which China is simply a benevolent partner. Its interests may not fully align with the safety, dignity, and human rights of all Nigerians. After all, there have been cases of illegal mining, human rights abuses against some Nigerians by Chinese, and deportation of some of their nationals engaged in one criminal activity or the other. We've recorded that in this country. Could they be afraid that the US intervention will affect or expose their activities here that Nigerians are not aware of? Could they be afraid of that? Let us look at how Nigeria is complicit or at least constrained and why Nigerians should demand better. The Nigerian state is not simply a passive victim here. There are structural, institutional, and political failures that have allowed the security crisis to worsen. Denials of targeted Christian-only killings by Abuja may undermine confidence. Nigerian ministers have insisted that there is no Christian genocide and that victims include Muslims and traditional worshippers too. But let us take a look at this. Just watch what is happening in Plateau State. I'll be back. You must have seen that. Officials pointing to constitutional guarantees of religious freedom, though correctly, also point to the gap between promise and practice. Nigeria's security architecture remains weak. There are gaps in intelligence gathering, cross-border violations, ambiguous militia or header-farmer conflict categorization, and insufficient justice for perpetrators. Nigerians themselves see the failure. As one Reddit user put it, is just going to be Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, etc. Direct military intervention. I don't see how the US could get involved without making everything worse. Those are words of some Nigerians. In short, Nigeria has allowed insecurity to become a de facto norm. For ordinary Nigerians, supporting external insistence, such as that from the US, is less about giving up sovereignty, but more about holding your own government to account. What should Nigerians do then? We appear to be in a phase. What should we do then? Nigerians should demand transparent numbers, investigations and prosecutions of those involved in massacres, kidnappings, and terror attacks. Support civil society documentation of all victims, whether Christians, Muslims, or traditional, so that the narrative is not hijacked by any one group. Advocate for genuine external assistance that respects Nigerian sovereignty but holds the state to measurable commitment. Example, regionally based security hubs, improved intelligence, monitoring of blasphemy laws, and due process. Recognize that intervention is not a silver bullet. The root causes, which are poverty, access to land and resources, ethnic, religious polarization, and corruption, must be addressed concurrently. You may be wondering why this matter could go viral and why it matters. The reason is not far-fetched. Deep human story. When you talk of religious persecution, massacres of villages, kidnap children, and churches under attack. You evoke moral courage that resonates across social media and among the diaspora. Possibility of geopolitical clash. The US and China are contesting influence in Africa. Nigeria, as Africa's largest population and economy, becomes the fulcrum. Ordinary Nigerians can see the stakes. The concern about national dignity as well. Many Nigerians feel the country has been allowed to be overrun by violence. These narratives give them a voice that deserve better, and that you are not merely victims, but stakeholders in your own safety. Faith and identity politics. Nigeria is split roughly half Christian, half Muslim, and other faiths. The story of Christian communities under threat draws international evangelical attention, which means media coverage, donor attention, and diaspora activism. Economic consequences cannot be ruled out. Insecurity deters investment, disrupts farming, and displaces people. The issue is not only ethical, but affects livelihood. If you are a Nigerian farmer watching your land taken, your child kidnapped, or your church burned, it becomes personal. Well, what we as the people should watch out for. While Trump's rhetoric is strong, analysts have warned that his narrative may oversimplify the reality. Violence in Nigeria is often indiscriminate, affecting Christians and Muslims alike. Labeling the conflict purely as Christians versus Muslims risks deepening polarization and play into terrorist desire for ethnic religious division. External military intervention may backfire, especially if it does not coordinate fully with Nigerian forces and respect local dynamics. As one analyst said, overriding Nigerian authority could be counterproductive. Nigerians ensure that supporting US involvement means partnership, not handed over control. Capacity building, not occupation. And justice, not just bombs. Ordinary Nigerians have every right, indeed, a duty, to support any credible effort that can restore peace, protect civilian life, including Christians, bring accountability, and prevent Nigeria from sliding further into anarchy. In that sense, Donald Trump's warning can be understood as a wake-up call of an external actor applying pressure at a moment when the Nigerian government appears overwhelmed. At the same time, the Chinese government's insistence on non-interference and its entanglement in long-term loans, resource deals, and strategic alignment means Nigerians should remain vigilant about whose interests are genuinely at stake. Ultimately, the question is, do Nigerians want further or future where their faith, lives, and livelihoods are safe? If yes, then they should seize this moment to demand action from their own governments, from external partners, and from themselves. Because the crisis is real, the stakes are high, and the time for passive waiting is gone.